Hello everybody, and welcome back to another exciting edition of Prepper Post News, courtesy of Freedom Prepper. I'm Perrin Lovett, and today is Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of things. The number one topic, the featured topic, revolves around the changing nature of social media and related things technical. But first, I'd like to say hello to our social media, including all of you watching right now at YouTube, and to everybody at YouTube. How are y'all doing? We've got everybody listening to the podcast, Anchor, Spotify, a few other places. That has just been growing. Thank you all for listening and watching. And we've got everybody over at freedompreppercommunity.com, which we're seeing all kinds of growth and excellent discussions. And we've had a few upgrades. You can now add multiple kinds of file material to your post. And Scott just activated, I think it was Monday, he activated the forums so we can kind of move specific subject side topics off, and there's a classification system for for general preparedness, emergencies, food and water. Take a look at that, and let's keep the party going. I told him I was going to steal his line, but Michael calls it the Green Dragon Tavern for the 21st century. A place where we all just gather around in friendly, happy fashion and discuss all things prepper and related topics. And best of all, you don't even have to journey to buy water because it is digital. As is Parler. Parler has been in the news, and I can't remember when I first started hearing Parler this and Parler that. I was never really a social media guy. I never saw the purpose of Twitter at all. When Gab first came out, and I mean when Gab first came out, I was roundaboutly invited to come in, and I gave it a few months, and then I couldn't do it. But Parler, I take it, is the same kind of thing for conservatives. Very important that the conservatives have their own controlled opposition gatekeeping function place that doesn't work. I mean, a place for them. Everybody was talking about, all my Republican friends were talking about Parler, get on Parler, Parler this, Parler that. I just didn't, one, I don't see the utility in it, and two, there was just something suspicious about it, something fake right about it. And all of that has been validated, even through the mainstream news that we've gotten. Yeah, Apple kicked them off, Google kicked them off, Amazon, I don't know what Amazon has done with the hosting. But a story came to, actually I've seen a lot of stories about what they want. They want the double authentication when you join. They want your phone numbers. That should be a huge red flag to anybody who wants any kind of privacy. But then a story leaked out, and I've got a link. I think this is a link to a link about a security breach that they just had. I guess they were having a press conference to, explain fears away about the pending shutdown. And I don't know if it was Parler per se or their security company, Twilio, somebody put up on, at the press conference, whatever the security code is that's needed to go into the administrative functions of Parler and become an admin. And instantly, I think this was either done, or the potential was there for trolls to go in and just create millions of fake administrative accounts. And they can do things like see all of your material, see everything that you've posted. They can block the real admins, and it just, total compromise to include all of your information there. And some of the information that people were giving Parler rivals or even best what Facebook was taking all those years. To get verified on Parler, you had to submit a copy of the front and the back of your driver's license. And, a driver's license is not the same as it was 30 years ago. You've got all your identifying information on the front. got a barcode or more than one kind of code on the back that tells people God knows what about you. So don't fall for things like that. And who was running this? Well, we know that, the same heavy hitter financial backers that prop up all the other loyal opposition fake conservatives were propping up Parler. They said they're free speech. Unless you got out of line, then they wouldn't allow it. And they were taking all that information. And you've got to be just very, very careful, not only about what you allow to go out, but keep in mind that a lot of these nefarious places are spying on you. I deep-sixed Facebook years ago, and before I left, I checked the internal what do they know file. They had accessed my phone that I never used, never gave them the number. Somehow, because of thousands of phishing attempts on other sites, they find this information. Just stay away from them. Just stay away from them. And if our community ever ask you for private information, or if we, God forbid, ever ask you to scan in your birth certificate or your check routing numbers or your driver's license, it's time to leave. We have no plans for that, by the way. So just be very, very careful when you're using this socialized anti-social media. And yes, there is rank censorship all over the place. I had to do some cuts here. I was going to talk about Senator Hawley's book deal that fell through with Simon and Schuster, which is, they're one of the big. The bigs keep getting bigger and fewer in number. It used to be the big six, big five. I think they're looking at consolidation with Random House, which would take us to, I don't know, big four, big three. A couple of companies, and you can add Amazon in there, self-publishing, as the other big. They control 90+% of the book market. And if they don't like you or what you're going to say, they'll just cut your contract. And that's what happened to him. I had a Wall Street Journal story. You probably know it by now. They didn't like the way he behaved in his official capacity as a United States Senator last week, so they canned his book deal, which was about big tech, of all things. How self-serving is that? How far was he in the contract process? I don't know, and I don't know what his contract said. They may very well have a clause that allows them to back out for any reason or no reason. Does he get to keep the money? Can he sue? That's for him to decide. Just be aware that there are a lot of people that don't want you talking, and that includes talk radio. I saw this, and talk radio has been the bastion of the right, the conservatives, and the libertarians ever since Rush Limbaugh came on the scene in the late 80s. This story is out of the Telegraph. Cumulus, which I think owns Westwood One Studios now, has sent out the word to all of their right-wing hosts to just shut up and toe the line or else. And here's the quote. Cumulus and its program syndicate arm, Westwood One, will not tolerate any suggestion that some election has not ended. The election has been resolved and there are no alternate acceptable paths, period. We won't tolerate discussion on talk radio. And this is, it's everywhere now. It's always been the television. Now it's the radio, the internet, social media. How far is too far? Well, everybody assumes and thinks, usually rightly so, the ACLU is a liberal outfit. Every once in a while they hit it right, and they are highly concerned about the censorship that we're seeing all over the place. I got a story on that. Check that out at fp.com. All the links are there. If your left-wing censorship concerns the left-wing watchdogs, you might be taking it a little too far. What's the purpose of all of this? I've got a great post from Alexander Macris that you need to look at. I've also got a post where Vox Day quotes him and then adds a few thoughts of his own. The quote I'm going to pull out from Alex is, what's the purpose behind all of this seizure and denial of free speech? The left. This is why they begged for freedom of speech in the first place to put themselves in a position where they could deny it to everyone else. They demanded the toleration of evil so that they could eventually refuse to tolerate good. Always, always, always beware of these arguments for tolerance. We just want to be tolerated. This may offend you. If it offends you, just turn it off. Look the other way. Cover your ears until you say it, and then you're banned. And it's not. This has the potential to keep spiraling beyond what you say and write and read, right down to how you bank, how you work, how you live. It's going to be an interest. And, even if we didn't have this historic 2020 presidential election won by President-elect Joe Biden and his running mate, Kamala Harris, we'd still be in this boat. And the boat is sinking. Let's see here. Moving on. We had a call it what you will, an event at the nation's capital last week. You may or may not have heard about that. Some people call it a protest. Some people call it a riot. A lot of people got together and they were alternately not very happy and at the same time overjoyed. Now it's being alleged that they broke the law, that they in fact carried out an insurrection, a rebellion, an attack on our most sacred building where all good things flow from, the U.S. Capitol, and the wonderful people who work there on our behalf. And that's the basis of the impeachment, the second round impeachment, unless they've started a third round impeachment of outgoing President Trump 45. But there's an interesting and plausible legal defense going around for all these people that are being arrested all over the country for participating in the event last week at the Capitol. The defense is, Trump said I could. I was there, and the President of the United States told me to do what I did, so I did. You've charged him, impeachment-wise, with an insurrection. Well, it's him. He did it. I didn't do it. And of course, there's also the pardon thing, but we'll find out where that's going. And of course, the left side, who controls the narrative, controls the media, is all against whatever happened. Call it free speech, call it a riot. They're not in favor of it. It was a violent, thuggish, Nazi insurrection, and they're not going to tolerate it. Although the exact same people, were more than happy to tolerate the same kind of behavior all of last year from their side. Is it a double standard? Absolutely. I've got a video that I link up at FP about the same usual suspects that are so mad now. All last summer were egging people on. Yeah, you should punch those Nazis. Yeah, you have a right to be angry. Take to the streets. Tear stuff up. Be violent. And I lost it, but I found another one where somebody had put side by side images and quotes of the same people last summer. This is the whole town's on fire. This is a peaceful protest. Today a couple of people are waving flags. This is war. It's a double standard. It's pathetic, but we've got to live with it, and we can. I might need to adjust the light. Working on getting more lights. I have what I thought of as a cheap desk lamp. I now know that it is the key light, and over here we're going to have the other light, whatever that's called, and up here we're going to have the up here light, which will make things brighter, illumination for the people. Got more exciting headlines and plenty of time to discuss them. Those people in Congress, and by the way, why are they really upset about what happened last week? Well, they don't care about black lives, white lives, whatever it is that us little people on the street care about. Yeah, they don't care about it at all. If it suits their purposes, that's fine. And they don't care if entire states burn down, as long as it's you and me losing everything. But the second that somebody inconveniences them, then it's a problem. And you see things like troops being deployed to, here's something interesting. They put up this unscalable fence around the Capitol to be guarded by thousands of National Guard troops, allegedly possibly going to be armed. Is that to keep people out, or might that be to, a fence works both ways? Could it keep somebody in, like a prison? I don't know. For years, I've been saying just put bars on the Capitol windows and lock them all up in there. Anyway, there is finally some intelligence in Congress. It's been a long time. It's overdue. But last week, this just kind of slipped by. A lot of stories slip by, even by me. You learn when you learn. The Foreign Intelligence Report about something that happened last year was quietly released last year to the president, and it was delivered to Congress immediately after they voted to certify the election victory of President-elect Joseph Robinette Biden. And it's interesting that they got that. I've got a link from the Washington Examiner. They have some words about internal corruption within the intelligence agencies. They also say something about this country that starts with C. Chira, something like that. Big country in Asia somewhere. My geography is not that good. I know where Bywater is, but not Beijing. But yes, Congress is also poised to give us Patriot Act 2.0. They're already talking about this. Odds are it's already drafted, because Patriot Act 1.0 was already drafted and ready to go long before 9/11. And in fact, the second round may come from the guy that gave us the first round. There was somebody, I can't remember his name. He was a senator from Delaware. He bragged for the longest time that he was the author of the Patriot Act, which had very little to do with patriotism. It might be that he's giving us the second round to fight the terrorist. We've got to fight the terror. If we don't fight the terrorists win. And congratulations, Ma and Pa Kettle out there in Nebraska. You're the terrorist now. So you hide in your cave. It's going to be a fun ride, folks. A fun ride. Some people are innocently suggesting this looks like a civil war. They're asking, is civil war in our future? And of course the answer is yes. I mean, how long is the future? A long time. Eventually something bad happens to every nation, and then it happens again. Where are the lines? Everywhere. Paul Craig Roberts wrote another great, he's done a lot of these lately. I linked this up to his website. Some speculation about how things might break down. I too am running I'm working on, we're editing part 2 of my little series about preparing for, I don't want to call it a war. We'll just call it changes, because, it could be, happy divorce like Czechoslovakia, Balkanization, Civil War, or just, more of the same. Something is coming, because it always is. And working on part 2, and then I've got trying to script out part 3. Probably going to be a 4-part series. The first part was very popular, the introductory part. More of that, and we've got plenty of time to get ready. And it's not going to affect half of us anyway, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about your health either, because the medical industry is hard at work for profit. I mean, for you. And things are just looking up all over the place. Back in Beijing, we have scanning. I call this scanning for health. In large city, we have a lot of ride sharing going on. People that they belong to a club, and you can rent a car and drop it off somewhere. Somebody else picks it up. You do this with a phone app, so they can record all your information. In China now, before you get in your rideshare card, you have to scan a QR code that is essentially your vaccine passport. Look for that to come to Europe, the United States, Canada, and not just for cars either. Fun, exciting stuff, all for our benefit. Now, if you go to the doctor and you take medication, say, I don't know, a vaccine for something, that's not necessarily the end of the story. Always check yourself. If you have any problems after the fact, consult a doctor immediately. They may need to scan you, not just your barcode, but you, the product, to make sure that your blood looks okay. Because we had a doctor down in Florida who got a vaccine for something. I have no idea what this is about, but Miami 12 local reports that after he took the vaccine, he had spleen problems, which apparently is common, and his blood platelet count dropped so low that he internally bled out before they could save him. Don't be like that. If you have problems, go immediately, have blood work or a scan or whatever they do to fix it. Fixing things. A lot of things need to be fixed, like the economy. I don't need to tell you that, but if you work for BlackRock or one of the mega banks on Wall Street, you might not know that there's any kind of financial problem at all. And a lot of people are saying this is now the largest bubble ever. And again, 5 years ago, I would have probably led with this. This economic stuff is taking a back seat. Matter of fact, we're dragging it in a trailer now. It's almost irrelevant until it is relevant. And we're talking. We have a new word: a melt up. Irrationally, inexplicably, when everything is going to hell, the stock market is just booming. The banks are flush with cash. On Wall Street, everything looks great. How? Well, I've got Yahoo Finance had this. I'll just give you a quick quote before we go. Emboldened by Federal Reserve stimulus, vaccines, and the psychological conditioning that arises when no bad patch lasts, it's poorly written. Everyone from retail newbies to institutional managers is rushing to cash in on the 10-month melt up. Let's put that in plain English, and they have it in order. Really, you could cut all that other word salad out. Because of Federal Reserve stimulus, there's a melt up. We have tens of trillions of fake dollars that are just flooding in and raising prices of things like stocks. So if you're right there on the front lines in the system, you're cleaning up right now. Very little of this is trickling out to anybody else. If it is allowed to creep out, it'll do so in the form of monetary inflation. The melt up is eventually reality will come calling. It's going to be a meltdown. I'm not sure if we have a forum for discussing financial collapse and recessions. If not, we need to add one, because that's something to keep an eye on. And we'll keep an eye on everything else. This is going to be a very, very exciting week, as will be next week. I hope you will be back to join me here, and I will see you, good, bad, or ugly, tomorrow, Thursday. Have a great day, folks.